All right, what's up? It's game week. It's time to go. And this is our final episode of our football Inside Iowa State Football Summer Series. It is the 26th of August, Monday. It's game week, but I'm going to now give my official picks and prediction for the 2024 football season. Now I'll go on the record, okay? Done this a few times where it's like, thinking about this, thinking about that. But I said I always had the right to change my mind. More clued in with the team, more clued in with the schedule, all that good stuff. We are going to do that today. Short little summer series to wrap things up. I've had so many comments from many of you, and Jeff and Grant and Aiden have been a huge part of this as well, and Jacqueline, of course, and of course Bloom. But many of you have said this is the best summer content we've ever created at Cyclone Fanatic, and we really appreciate that because it's been ambitious what we've taken on with the College of Business Summer Series. Of course, Grant and Jeff have been just getting one A-list guest after another, but we're really proud of the work. And if you like it, please subscribe, review, like all that stuff. We live in an algorithm-based world. Everything you say and do helps us grow and become be the best Cyclone Fanatic that we can be. Speaking of that, we wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without our great sponsors. And we've had 4 of them for this summer series. And a guy who I personally want to thank, Ryan Nelson from Central States Roofing. He's been an incredible supporter of what we've done, reaching out to me, genuinely cares about our product. And he's got a whole group of people over at Central State Roofing. Mark Hansen is the president over there. They've been in business for 56 years. Great local company. Everything they do is locally owned, locally run, and they are phenomenal. Really, really appreciate them. Central States Roofing. I want you guys to keep them in mind, specifically for your commercial businesses out there. They do all sorts of commercial roofing. And if you're in business locally for that long, for 56 years, you're doing something right. The same goes for my friends over at Fairway Meat and Grocery. I am here much because of Fairway's support of Cyclone Fanatic very early on in our process. I just thought of something, Aiden. I don't know if you have your microphone on. This is the start of my 20th season.
God, you're old.
I know. I just thought of that.
Congratulations.
Because 04 was the start, and it's 24 now. And
so
this is my 20th opening game week.
So I'm 22.
Yeah, you were just a little teeny tiny baby.
That's nothing but a wee child.
Yeah. But Fairway was one of our first sponsors, and they've supported us ever since. They jumped on and supported Iowa everywhere from day one. Fairway Meat and Grocery. Thanks so much to them. Also want to thank one of our newest sponsors at Cyclone Fanatic, Robinson Implement. They are a full-line AGCO, Kubota, and versatile dealership. They've got all your farm equipment needs with offices and locations in Irwin, Pocahontas, and Corning. All the farm and construction equipment needs. Keep them in mind for, again, all you people out there in the agriculture world, our friends at Robinson Implement. And a couple of guys who are really, really neat humans, the Natuzel family from Raymond James Financial. They're financial advisors, and they've got offices in Ankeny and Carroll. You can visit them by appointment in Ames, and you can learn about the financial services that they provide. It's a father-son tandem. Neat guys. Got to know them this summer. They came to my pro wrestling charity event where we were raising money for Living Ava's Way. Huge Iowa State fans. And if you are in the need for a financial advisor, I think the easiest way to do it is just go to Google and say Raymond James, and that is spelled Natuzel, Clay and Chase Natuzel, Netusil. Thank you to our great sponsors all summer long here on the Cyclone Fanatic Inside Iowa State Football Summer Series. So here we go. The depth chart came out today. And if you are a premium subscriber, if you listen to Williams and Bloom, really nothing should be a surprise to what is on this piece of paper. Nothing at all. The situation at backup quarterback, there's an or between J.J. Cole and Connor Moberly. Not surprised. I'm just looking for positions where I didn't really know. Third wide receiver was interesting after Daniel Jackson goes down. It's Nagoye and Isaiah Alston. Not surprised by that. Offensive line, little surprised that there's an or with Jalen Travis, although there are some minor injury rumblings there, and he's a newcomer where James Neal is coming back, so keep an eye on that. Nothing. I'm not panicked about that by any means. I thought it was. I was looking at linebacker. Again, this doesn't surprise me. We thought Cooper Ebel would be the number one at weak side, excuse me, and he is over Jack Sadowski, who started last year at the spot. You'll see both of those guys. Bacon. I think Brazina will end up being the primary guy at Sam. McLaughlin fighting some injuries. He'll be back at some point. But, yeah, I mean, really not a lot of surprises here. I think we've done a pretty good job of, people are – I hear it all the time, like, oh, where's the depth chart? Why didn't Iowa State have depth charts? They're very pointless. But I do think that they're being real with this, though. I think this is like a real depth chart. What do I say? Coaches lie. I don't think they're lying here. I think this is like pretty realistic depth chart that Matt Campbell put out today on game week. So, all right. My predictions. I'm not going to go way off of what much that I've said in the past, but I want to give context to this entire Iowa State football schedule because I have set this thing up in tiers, and I'm going to give you what I think is most likely to happen. Clearly, stuff happens, right? Like, this is not an exact science. I want to do it in tiers for the most part because, as we saw with Florida State, Georgia Tech, SMU should have lost as a 27-point favorite. Like, anything can happen in these deals, and we just don't really know, especially in 2024 college football. What I do think I know is Iowa State, and I think that I know Iowa State quite well, and I think they got a good squad this year. But the way I see it is probably an underdog. I know they'll be an underdog against Iowa in week 2 because we've already seen the line. I think you're definitely an underdog at Utah. I think Kansas State is at the best case scenario for Iowa State around a pick 'em, unless Kansas State isn't as good as we think. I think you're probably an underdog at West Virginia. So let's just say, for the sake of conversation, Iowa State is an underdog in all of those games. Maybe Kansas too. I think they could be an underdog at Kansas. Maybe we'll do the 5. Just again, we'll say they're an underdog in 4. How about that? Because I think Kansas State at home and I think at Kansas could go either way potentially. I do think they'll be a dog at West Virginia. Let's say this to be conservative. Let's split those. Okay? I'm going to say you're going to split Kansas State, Utah, Iowa, and West Virginia. Win 2, lose 2. I think that there are real trap potentials for Iowa State to lose a game maybe where you're a favorite. I think I'm not just ripping off the bear. If y'all heard me, my CW pod early July, I've been high on Central Florida for a while. I think that they're probably better than most people think, and same with Texas Tech. Let's say I think conservatively you drop 1 against Central Florida, Texas Tech, and Kansas. That puts you at 9-3. I think that's an aggressive play. I think that the number at 7.5 is safe. I think that's a good number. If I was handicapping Iowa State, I think I might move that to 8. I definitely don't move it to 8.5 because I think you get way more sighting on the under for that. I see what they're doing here. You don't like to put it on even numbers. Makes total sense what Vegas is thinking, trying to get action. But I end at 9-3. It's an aggressive pick. But again, I'm going more with this pick off of what I know about Iowa State compared to everybody else. And that's what you want from me, right? I'm the Cyclone fanatic guy. But, what's fascinating about this league is that I just don't think there's a huge difference between number 1 and number 9. And now we have the schedule inequality that's come into this thing, and it's really difficult to do this in the transfer portal era. You guys know this. But what I do think is Iowa State didn't just bring guys back. So, there's a lot of times you bring people back and it's like, oh, we're their year. Yeah, but they brought talented guys back. They actually lost a lot of their two deep, like some guys who were probably never going to, like, a Cartevious Norton and the players like that who we saw last year. But even him as an example, where is he at on the depth chart right now? I don't think he's beating Jalen Jackson out at running back. You see my point. I think they've been hit on depth, but I think that their starting lineup, I think that they are deeper on the defensive line than I've ever seen at Iowa State. I'm not saying their top end on the defensive line is better. I'm saying I think they're deeper with like real guys who can play. Linebacker is an issue for me. Talent there, definitely talent, but unproven talent at best. I love the secondary across the board. I think corner, I'm comfortable going with 3 guys. After that, let's see what happens, right? A little bit concerned on what would happen if you get past Jontez Williams, Darian Porter, and Miles Purchase, but hopefully that's not the case. Y'all are asking about the offensive line. I don't know, because it doesn't matter what I say, I'm going to be wrong. When it comes to the offensive line, I think it's more about Taylor Mauser and Rocco Becht than it is the actual line itself. I think the guys, whoever they roll out there, and this is where I think they might be messing with us a little bit on this depth chart. I think whatever combination they roll out there has guys capable of winning in the Big 12. But you've got to put them in the spot where they can do it. This is still not going to be a line full of maulers that just goes out there and overwhelms a defense, even in a best case scenario. So I am hopeful that this offense looks a lot more like it did in late October last year than it did in September. And I don't think Mauser, in my knowledge of him and his philosophy, I don't think Taylor Mauser is going to be especially conservative. I think if anything, it'll be Matt Campbell calling, hey, knock it off. Enough of that passing. But even that, I think I saw a shift in Campbell last year. I really do. After that TCU, it was whatever win it was. I think it was TCU. They put out that Cyclone air raid graphic, and it's like none of this stuff happens by accident. And of course, they're not going to run a true air raid. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But I think they even felt it within them, like a shift to being like, okay, this is what we're going to have to do to be able to run the ball. That's the question I have about this offense. Do they run to set up the pass or pass to set up the run? I hope to hell they pass to set up the run, because then I think that it's going to help out that group of offensive linemen. Again, fine talent. They're fine. They aren't going to be a top 5 line in the Big 12. At least I don't think so. And if they are, I think it's because of the scheme, and I think it's because of the threat of the skill players around them that enables them a shot to do that. So let's go game by game here as we wrap up our summer series, and it is absolutely time to get after it. It is game week here on Cyclone Fanatic, a Cyclone Fanatic podcast network. Always in the Wild Rose Casino Studios. Got me a new bottle of this beautiful Cody Road bourbon. The new 2024 Cyclone Fanatic edition. You can pick it up in grocery stores today. Go find it in a Fairway for you. So I think they roll North Dakota State. I've been on the record that I thought they would beat Iowa. I'll stay there. Again, you know my thoughts. I think they're splitting those 4. Arkansas State shows no threat to me. At Houston should be a win. Baylor, I'm a little bit sketchy on. I think they'll beat Baylor. I think you're a comfortable 10-point favorite in that game. Still holding out to see what they look like with their new offensive coordinator. Dave Aranda is a proven coach. Can he get this thing turned around? We'll see. I think we'll find out pretty early with them. They have a game against Utah, I think, in week 2. At West Virginia, I think I'll put a loss here, but I don't know. Again, I'm splitting those. So split them up however you want. Central Florida, I think, is probably one of the sleeper teams to go to a Big 12 championship game. The problem is they haven't proven at this level that they can win away from home. Will they be able to do that this year? That's the question I have about them. They're recruiting at a high level, ton of transfers. How do they all mesh together? That's my question about the Knights. I like Joey McGuire. Baylor starts to struggle when he leaves. I think that he's a damn good coach at Texas Tech. I'm not sure on their talent. I think their talent is higher than it was a year ago. I don't know if it's top end, but I think that's a real trap game on the 2nd of November. But that is coming off of a bye, so I like that for Iowa State in that instance. Listen, the Kansas game at Arrowhead, I think Iowa State will have more fans than Kansas. What's Kansas' situation injury-wise, and what is their defense going to look like? Can they stop the run? And my big question about the Jayhawks. Cincinnati at home on the 16th of November, that should be a win. And then you close out at Utah and Kansas State, which, again, I think are listen, it would be a Herculean effort to win at Utah unless they have some injuries and that type of a deal. Wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. Certainly a better matchup than going into like Norman, and we've seen Iowa State win those games before. But you're going west. There's just a lot of weird things you've never done. Well, I guess they went to BYU last year, so that's for Iowa State's benefit. But yeah, it's a very manageable schedule. It is an Iowa State team that I have the utmost confidence in as far as I think, and I'll eat crow for this, I think they're better in September than we've seen in many years. And I think that, as far as the offense goes, and Mauser, I have faith in his preparation. I have faith in his philosophy. I have faith in his experience to get to this point. What Taylor needs to show everybody is that when linebackers are flying at you and blitzes are coming and, yada, 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 how do you adjust on the fly? And Taylor Mauser's never had to do that before. So it's just, you got to do it at some point, right? Bill Belichick had to call a defense for the first time too. So this is, we'll see. I don't know. That's what makes the Iowa game a little iffy for me. Cause it's like, you're going up against the best and Phil Parker and, on the road, like that'll be really interesting. And I don't know. Those are four, in my opinion, real toss-ups. I think you hope to split them. If you do anything better than split them, all of a sudden you're in real contention to go to a Big 12 championship game, as long as you take care of business elsewhere. You had it 9-3. Aiden, what do you think of my 9-3 prediction?
I'm kind of in the same spot. I think they're 8-4, 9-3, kind of hinging on a particular game out in Coralville. So,
yeah, out in Coralville. There you have it. Summer series wrapped up. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I am excited for this year. I'm probably more excited about an Iowa State athletics season than I ever have been in my entire life. I love the coaches. Because of NIL, I've gotten to know a lot of these players more than we ever did in the past, which is great. And I think that the fan base is as strong and as boisterous and as awesome as I've ever seen it before. So I'm fired up. I hope you guys are too. Please come out and shake my hand if you see me walking around Jack Trice Stadium. It's a blessing to meet each and every one of you. We couldn't do this without you. Again, I can't believe I'm still doing this in 20 years later. It really is, man, it makes me feel old, but here we are. Thank you so much to all of you who followed along, and we'll have a new episode of Kicking It coming up tomorrow. Right, Aiden?
Yeesh.
Yes. And then we're promoting our new show, Williams and Bloom Live on Wednesday from Wiffles at 5. And then the new show, Sideline, what do they call it? The Inside Zone. Yeah, they're always
Monday.
Yes, that will be on Monday. They are going to record that on Sunday nights. It'll be Jacqueline Cordova hosting with Jairo Brock, Colin Newell, and Jake Rimsberg. Also, the hat, if you're watching on YouTube, the Cyclone Fanatic rope hat. I've had dozens of you ask me where you can get these. They weren't for sale. We were just handing them out to advertisers and contributors and stuff. I've had so many of you ask about them. You can now buy them on CycloneFanaticShop.com. cyclones.com. And the thing I like about it the most, not only the look, this is maybe the most high quality hat I've ever owned.
The most comfortable hat
Yeah, right? Like,
I've ever had.
So you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. And I own a ton of hats. I'm a huge hat. I'm bald now. And this is, I think, my favorite hat I've ever owned. Go buy one. We appreciate your support. Thanks to Aiden Wyatt for producing all of these. It's been a memorable summer. Let's get after it. Fall, Cyclone Fanatic. We'll be here with you every step of the way. Later.